Boston's 10.
But that's interesting. So you're saying you know what you've internalized what it'll feel like.
Oh yeah, I know exactly. I can envision everything. Sunday night football, I know what that's like. I know what the night's like. I know what the wind's like. I know how their team's going to prepare. I know what their schedule is going to be like. I know what's going to be said.
Tom Brady tells ESPN he knows Gillette Stadium and the Patriots like the back of his hand, which means he has the advantage heading into Sunday night's Pats-Bucks showdown. So is Tom playing mind games, or is he speaking his mind? Is he simply confident, feeling he can defeat his old mentor Bill Belichick and outduel the legendary coach in whatever mental chess match he has up his torn hoodie sleeve?
How much sleeve to hide up there when they're cut here. Brady obviously played for Belichick for 2 full decades. He's seen the kind of Jedi mind tricks that Obi-Wan Belichick can play with opposing teams. And publicly, he's kind of underselling the importance of this game, saying, sure, it's an important one, but for his team, coming off a loss, not some epic revenge match that many are making this out to be. So is Tom being truthful about what this game means to him? Well, that's our starting point tonight. Well, Brady is speaking to many media outlets this week, ESPN, Wall Street Journal, and of course, his own podcast. Brady said on his SiriusXM radio podcast that he won't be thinking of his Patriots past as he runs out of the tunnel on Sunday night. Instead, his mind is just on how important this game is for his current team.
I'm not going to be thinking about, 20 years of history. I'm going to be thinking about one night of football, a Sunday night game coming off a really tough loss. There's a lot of buildup, a lot of hype, and I know it's kind of been going on for quite a while. I'm excited to go play a football game and a regular season football game and try to get back on a winning track. And I know it's against a team that I played 20 years for, and I know it's against a very quality team and a great organization and a great franchise. But I'm going to do everything I can to keep it like I normally do.
Come on, Tom.
I know. You might be thinking, give me a break, right, Tim? You're not extra motivated to show the fans what they're missing or remind Bill Belichick what he's missing. Well, if Brady's thinking that, he is not saying it.
20 years of being there, obviously he's a great mentor for me. And yes, there's definitely great lessons I've learned from him. And he's a great football coach. And he does a great job for his team. There'll be a lot of excitement from them in the stands, but the home crowd at Gillette is a great crowd, and I think they're going to cheer for their team as I would expect them to. And I think if they know anything about me, they're going to know that I'm going out there to try to win the football game. So I think they'll respect that about me. I certainly respect that they're there to pull for their team, and that's the way sports goes.
That sort of sounds a little bit like Bill Belichick.
It sure does.
It kind of shows the influence that Belichick still has on Tom Brady in those comments. He's not adding fuel to the fire. He's tamping down the rhetoric. He's not giving Pats players any extra motivation through any comments he may make.
Lots of compliments out there for Brady. Brady recently kind of has been forthright about the fact that he sometimes lies if it suits his purpose. Check it out. Tom was actually on LeBron James' show. It's called The Shop. It's on HBO. This was back in June. And he said this, quote, "What I say versus what I think are two totally different things. I would say 90% of what I say is not what I'm thinking." He actually went on to reveal that some of those lies were often strategic, especially when it comes to talking football. And in a fascinating new Wall Street Journal magazine article, Brady was asked about that specific quote, and he said it tied it back to his time with the Patriots. He said, quote, "When you're an employee of a company, you kind of take on the voice of what that company is." And the journalist, Jason Gray, told Brady that, quote, made him a little bit sad. And Brady agreed, saying, quote, "It is a little sad because it's a challenging thing to do, What you do and what you believe might be two different things. But part of it is you're on a team. And when you're in a team, it's not necessarily always what you think. It's kind of what we think. I've been a little trained to say, this is what we think." Now, I spoke with Jason Gray about Brady's comments.
If you look at the arc of the comments that he's been making over the past year and change that he's been with Tampa, there does seem to be a looseness to the way that he's speaking now. There is still kind of this vestigial patriot in him that doesn't want to give anybody any kind of bulletin board material and put them in a situation where they have extra motivation to beat them. Because look, he's Tom Brady. They're defending Super Bowl champions. People are out to get him no matter what.
Well, Jason agrees no matter what. Tom says publicly to him, Sunday's game is definitely a big deal.
How can it not? I mean, how can it not? I think, if anything, he's kind of got butterflies about the idea of like going into the visitors' locker room, taking a different route into the stadium. This was somebody who, by habit, could probably walk through the entire Gillette area blindfolded. But this is going to be a completely different dynamic for him, and I think it has to be something that he's at least circled quite a ways out.
Oh, please. You know he's mapped it all out. I mean, this
Every
man
step.
doesn't let anything get by him. But Jason mentioned butterflies, right? So how does Tom manage butterflies? He's talked about what it was like when he was struggling in college, and a counselor at the University of Michigan's athletic department challenged Brady to worry about being the best player on the team, not to worry about what others thought of him or how they played. And it's advice that he still leans on, apparently, to this day.
Yeah, so today I spoke with Sylvain Guimond. He's actually a sports psychologist who's worked with athletes from Tiger Woods to hockey legend Mario Lemieux. And he says no matter what Brady is saying these days leading up to the game, the QB's emotions will be running high when he takes the field Sunday night.
No, there's no way that he can ignore it because it's going to be in his head and his heart. And the more you try to push, thoughts and emotion far away from you, the faster they come back and stronger they come back to you. So instead of pushing them back and say, well, I don't want to get into this kind of feeling, he has to say, that's okay, that's fine, that's just normal, and just move on. Because if I'm telling you, don't think of a banana, what are you thinking of a banana? So I have to say to my head what I'd like to think of and not what I don't want to think about.
I was bad. He got me. I started thinking about banana immediately. Dr. Guimond also says athletes are more equipped than most of us to deal with that sort of emotional stress.
They are able to just shut down some of the things and just focus on the things that they have to do right. And at the same time, of course, emotion is going to be all involved. But when it's time to play, his focus come back on the task that he has to do. That's why they become so strong at what they do.
But there are days and hours leading up to when that kickoff finally happens. You know he's going to be thinking about it. When it comes to focus, you could certainly bet the Patriots coach is laser focused on the Tampa Bay game film these days, dissecting them to see how they could stop Brady, stop the Tampa Bay offense.
Well, it's a good point that, he says he knows Belichicks so well, and the team, they know him so well as well. Offensive coach Josh McDaniels is a guy that you might call a frenemy of Brady's. Now, McDaniels was the Pats' offensive coordinator for many of Brady's best seasons. 2 of the 3 seasons when Brady won league MVP, Josh was feeding the plays to Brady for the offense to execute. Well, today McDaniels shows he's a disciple of Bill Belichick and heaped praise upon Brady.
It should be a lot of fun. We're obviously very good friends and close, and that should never change. And I know he'll be excited to compete and come up here and try to win and play his best game. And I know he'll be ready to go. I know we'll be ready to go. And hopefully we can put our best performance of the season out there and compete as hard as we can to try to win.
Everyone's playing so nice.
Right, except he never said Tom Brady's name once during that press conference, which I thought was really interesting. Yeah, never said Tom, never said Brady. All right, so let's put this aside. Let's say the game is just one game, which is a joke, but let's pretend. TB12, his health and wellness lifestyle company, clearly sees a marketing opportunity in Sunday night's game.
Yeah, TB12 just this week launched a new line of T-shirts tied to the game, and of course Brady's history with the Patriots and his start with the franchise. Brady flaunting what appears to be a pretty standard white T-shirt in this photo here, but the website reads, quote, following an uninspiring NFL Combine evaluation, Tom's infamous 6th-round draft selection 21 years ago inspired him to spend the next 20 years making a name for himself in Foxborough. On October 3rd, he is back, this time with a new ring and a new jersey. Inspired by his NFL Combine tee from 21 years ago, the return to Foxborough T-shirt celebrates this can't-miss matchup. Yeah, he's selling T-shirts, and maybe that's why they're cost $35 a pop.
And it looks like a white T-shirt. Look closely, and you'll notice this photo shoot that was taken right here took place outside of Gillette, and perhaps at the flagship TB12 facility. That's right at Patriot Place. So perhaps Tom wants to become the GOAT of marketing. If you watch any NFL games on Sunday, chances are you'll see Tom Brady in commercials. We didn't see a lot of that when he was here.
And now we see it like all the time now that he's in Tampa. He's in ads for T-Mobile with Gronk. He's on cryptocurrency ads with his wife Giselle. And you probably noticed he's in a bunch of those Subway ads too.
Totally bizarre.
And one where he even concedes that Brady might not even eat the product that he's pitching.
Freshly baked, smells so good, I can almost taste it.
But you don't eat bread.
All right, that's fairly funny. He barely eats anything. I spoke with Kim Zayati of Blue Sky Sports and Entertainment, who's worked with sports stars like Cam Neely in the past, and she says Tom, these days, may be trying to appeal to a broader audience by advertising for a fast food company like Subway, as opposed to those high-end brands like those $10,000 watches like he has in the past.
The average person who is going to be eating Subway will also be shopping in Nordstrom. And so maybe he is kind of trying to broaden that group of people, because that elite level of consumer, it's smaller.
It's got a whole new clothing line coming out in Nordstrom, too. And Kim also says the timing of this onslaught of Brady ads, that is not a coincidence.
I mean, Tom Brady owns New England, right? More than anything else. And smart marketing. He's a very smart guy. He's done an excellent job managing his brand, and he's doing an excellent job leveraging the opportunities that he has to be in this media market at this time.
Everyone is playing nice, but I found it interesting because in that interview he did over the summer, he talked about how he lies on purpose. He'll sometimes intentionally compliment a cornerback that he knows stinks and get him feeling good about himself, and then during the game, he'll go at that corner the whole time. I wonder if that's what's happening here, downplaying his emotions, downplaying the importance, and then afterwards revealing how much it meant to him.
It also will feel better if, you know, he's setting the bar so low that he's not going to get a great welcome when he comes to Gillette. So when he does, he can be like, oh, shucks.
I also wonder, too, because I feel bad because in the sense that, like, I think he wants that big reunion. He wants that feeling.
He's
competitive.
But
he can't say it, hey, please cheer for me.
Well, remember, NBC 10 Boston is where you'll be able to see the one and only return of Tom Brady to Foxborough. Game is set for Sunday night, kickoff at 8:20, but our special coverage begins at 6 p.m. with special reports and live interviews that you will not see anywhere else.
And leading up to the game, we'll have every angle covered from Gillette as well as down in Florida. NBC 10's Monica Madej will be live from Tampa starting tonight at 11 p.m., getting us ready for that all-important return to Gillette for Tom Brady. And Gronk, of course. We forget about that. Coming up next, a derailment